Hey, 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 what's up, everyone? This is LaDondra Hervey with LaDondraHervey.com and Coach Don as well, our accountability coach, dynamic results coach, all that type stuff. Y'all, we are here for our not our dynamics, for our lunch bites here on Thursday, and we have a juicy lunch bite for you as we are talking about how the fear of failure robs you of authentic growth. Yes. So, where did this even come from? I was listening to a podcast about a couple of weeks ago with Amy Porterfield. Many of you may or may not know Amy Porterfield. She's known for being the queen of courses and list building and things like that. Y'all see how I'm able to say a person's name and I can say her area of specialty? I just wanted to say that real quick for those of you who really struggle in trying to figure out your specialty. Just a little side note, you want to be like that specialized to where somebody's able to say who you are and what you do that quick. And so, anyway, I was listening to her podcast, and as I was listening to her podcast, she was talking about some strategies that's working for her and her team in the marketplace and some things that she did for her last launch that really turned out just phenomenal for her and her team. And she was giving some tips on how you could show up and you could use those. And what she said is, you know how we roll, guys, is we try it first and then we come back and we tell you like what worked well for us, what didn't work, and then we bring you the strategy. And as she was saying that, just a thought came to me. And I was like, why does somebody else have to go and try it first before we have the confidence to show up and try the thing in our business? Because many times we have the knowledge, we have the wisdom, we have the insight, we have what we need, but we don't trust it until somebody comes along and validate it for somebody that we feel is the expert in their industry, or somebody that we feel is, well versed in a certain area or whatever. And so then at that point, then that's when it's good. But the thing that comes to my mind, we're daughters of the king. And when being daughters of the king, we're connected to the king. We're connected to ultimate knowledge, ultimate wisdom. And so if the Lord is giving you something in a way to come out and innovate in the marketplace, I want you to remember that it is good. You don't need somebody to come along and validate it for you to say, hey, Don Shannon, it is good. Hey, Amber, it is good. What you need is for you to trust it and then show up in the marketplace and be consistent with it, because not all things that you try is going to work right off. Not everything that you try is going to work right off. What you need to do is to show up, trust God, the instinct that God has given you, and be consistent with it, and know that the plan that He's given you, it's good. That makes me think about Jeremiah, what is it? Jeremiah 29, I think it is.
29:11.
Yeah, 29:11, where it says, for I know the plans I have for you.
Yes.
They are good. And they don't, I'm just summarizing this because I want to pull some points out to you. They are here not to cause harm, but for you to prosper. And so many times we have to show up and realize that the plan that God has given us, it is good first and foremost, and it's not going to be to cause harm. So if He's giving you a marketing strategy, and He said, hey, this strategy, Nikki, it's good for you, then you need to trust that whatever the Lord has given you, it is good for you and for your business, despite it goes along with the other industry experts and what they're doing. You know what? You don't want to be doing what everybody's doing, because what everybody else is doing, by the time they get it, is saturated. And you want to stand above the saturation, and you want to be different. You want to innovate according to your purpose, according to your plans and the calling that's on your life. So I just wanted to preface that real quick. I'm gonna let Coach Don come in now and speak to some of that.
Well, you know what? When you were talking, I was thinking about different words, right? Like risk taker and rebel and disruptor and words like that, that so many of us as women, growing up, we were taught not to be those things, right? Just conform and do what you're told and fit in. And it takes a bold person to step out and be that disruptor and be that risk taker and to step out in fear. And that's just for a lot of us, that's not our norm. That's not what we, feel just comfortable doing. But you know what, sis, when you try to, when not try, but when you take that leap of faith into entrepreneurship, and you're ready to step into becoming a woman operating a kingdom enterprise, you have to be that disruptor. You have to be that risk taker. You have to be the one that says, you know what, I am going to tap into, that Holy Spirit voice that's inside me, because God gave me that as, our creator, right? He's wanting us to co-create our business with him. And if we're not tapping into the Holy Spirit and listening to that and then taking action behind that, then you know what, we're just sitting here, we're just being complacent, and that's not what we're called to do. So those were all the little juicy words that were coming up for me when you were talking in the intro. So I love that you brought all that up.
I love those words, girl. Y'all, take some of those words. Are you taking risks and you're betting on yourself? Matter of fact, you know what? When you're doing like Coach Don just mentioned, you're co-creating with Christ, you're really not taking a bet. It's a calculated risk that was given according to the Holy Spirit. And so if you're taking a calculated risk that is according to the Holy Spirit, girl, you can't fail. You can't fail. All you can do is win. And so, when we're thinking about putting ourselves out there, do we want to take a risk that is not in a connection with the power of the Holy Spirit and it's on our own merit, or it's what we feel is good according to the world? Or do we want to do what's good according to the word and take those calculated risks? Because listen, the thing that comes up to me is when Paul got out of the boat, when they were out there, this just came all up, they were out there and Paul said, hey, Jesus, the first thing he said is, can I get out the boat? I'm just summarizing this, giving you my words. Lord, can I get out the boat? And then Jesus said, come. And see, when Jesus said, come, that was a calculated risk. It wasn't that Paul decided to get out the boat to walk on water by himself. He asked, and he asked with the Lord, if I can do this. And so the Lord said, yes, come. And so when he says come, that means you just took a calculated risk according to the power of the Holy Spirit. And so he couldn't fail. He defied the odds. That's what you want to do in your marketing. You want to set yourself up in your marketing to where you've co-created with the Lord. You've heard from the Lord. He said, come. Go do it. And you went and did it. And when you did it, you defied the odds of the industry. And now you're starting to show up and shine in your divine lane like nobody else. And so you don't need anybody else's permission and validation before you go out and start the thing. It may not look good like everybody else. You may be building a boat in the desert and it just may look crazy at the time. But guess what? It's only crazy until it's proven, and you can show the people that it's not crazy or it wasn't crazy. When the water came, they realized, hey, we should have been on board with what he was doing, because now we're all dying, right? And so I say all of this to say, trust that instinct that's on the inside of you, because that instinct, it's guiding you towards the strategies that is in alignment for your business, for God's purpose and plans for you to fulfill those. So
absolutely. And you know what, Coach LaDondra, that reminds me, I know we're talking about fear, but the thing that is intricately woven into that is that obedience piece, right? And we talk about it all the time. And it's like when you hear that Holy Spirit, voice and that little nudge, and then you say, oh no, or no, I'm too scared, or whatever. It's that stepping out in obedience that is so important. That's the piece that we miss, right? Like, Noah, he was obedient, and he got made fun of. He got made fun of. And he was like, sorry, this is the word I heard, so I'm going to keep moving forward. So despite fear, despite being made fun of, all of those things, he kept moving forward.
Yes, that's so good. Can I give y'all an interpretation of what Coach Don just said? You might get made fun of on your showing up on social media. You only got one person that's coming to view your videos. You may have only one person on your newsletter. And somebody may tell you, why are you continuing to do that? It makes absolutely no sense. But guess what? Again, your obedience. I was just talking about this yesterday in our Freedom Breakthrough training for our Woke Insiders group. And I talked about obedience versus sacrifice. Obedience is better than sacrifice. And that was in from Samuel, the book in Samuel, or whatever. And I was talking about Saul and Samuel. Obedience is better than sacrifice. And so, Saul thought Samuel, wait, I'm messing up my S's. Saul thought it was good to go and do what the Lord has said, but then put pieces of himself in it and then not follow through on the order completely. He wanted to God told him to completely annihilate the Amalekites. And he, and everything in that land, including the animals, he said, oh, I'm going to keep the best of those animals and I'm going to sacrifice them to the Lord. And Samuel came back and he said, why didn't you obey? Like, that's not what the Lord told you to do. Like, why did you step out of bounds to do what you wanted to do? So many times that's what happens. So if the Lord is telling you to show up in market and do it according to the way he showed you, and you're only getting 1 follower, 2 followers, 3 followers, and the growth seems slow at first, you need to step into Habakkuk 2:3. Though the vision may tarry, wait for it, because it will come to pass. Wait for it. Wait for it. Be obedient. Keep building that ark. Keep building that boat. Keep marketing. Keep doing it, because before you know it, the people are going to show up. The results are going to show up. It's going to start to happen, and it's going to start happening with ease and grace because you're following in lines with the Holy Spirit. So, that's what Coach John just told you as it relates to your business. Okay, so here are some tips for you to authentically grow, because we're wanting to step out of the place of fear of failure, so that you can authentically grow. Because fear, we know that it does not serve us in our purpose. Fear, unless it can serve us, let me just say this. One way that it can serve us is it creates a higher awareness. So when you get afraid, you're getting heightened in your awareness. And it's like, you start to think clearer and you're like on it. Like, what do I need to know? How do I need to get? And if you use it from the standpoint of your awareness became heightened to get better and to fill in gaps in areas that you didn't feel prepared, and you're continuing to move and grow and take imperfect action, then fear served you well. But if you're using it to not consistently show up, to hide, to play small, to do only what the industry tells you to do, you're a leader. You're a leader. You're an innovator. And as an innovator and as a leader and as a powerful creator, how do I know you're a powerful creator? Because you're made in God's image and his likeness. And he was a powerful creator, so are you. And so you don't need anyone's permission to tell you that your t-shirt brand and how you're going to market it, it's good enough. You just need God to tell you. And that, with that word, stand on that. And so when you're playing small and you're not showing up in your brand fully, then that's when fear has paralyzed you, and it's robbing you of the opportunity to show up fully in your purpose. Then that's not good. So what we need to do is we need to flip the switch and then get back into a place of authenticity. When you're in authenticity, you're in a place where you're naked, free, and unashamed, like how he initially designed us to be. And so when you're free, naked, and unashamed, and you're showing up in your marketing like that, now you're showing up free to serve your audience in a way that they need to hear your message. You're not hiding behind your message. You're standing on your story, and you're delivering your story in a way that it affects change and it affects people's lives, and you're marketing in a way that connects with them. So many times we get caught up in trends that we're trying to just do the thing and we're just following the model. But is that model really leading to a connection that is going to convert people into an opportunity to do business with you? And so the only way that you can do that, first and foremost, is to, step into that part of yourself where you know that you're a powerful creator, and that within you is the ability to create and to innovate according to your call and according to your purpose and according to God's plan and the divine domain that he's given you to affect change. And so you can't forget that you within you is the capacity to create how you need to create it to connect with your audience in a way that's going to convert them into an encounter with your work and what you've been gifted to solve a problem for them and where they're needing you at. So Coach Don, do you have anything on that one?
You know what, you said so much right there, and I just want to encourage people to just continue to tap into that creative spirit, because even if you think that you're not a creative person, you are. And so tapping into that, because like Coach LaDondra said, you are made in his image, the creator's image. So we all have a creative spirit within us. It's just about sitting still and tapping into that, and really then again taking action around that. Being like, okay, I heard that I should be doing this. So what does that look like? And just tap into that, go into that, quiet, prayerful, meditative state and really ask, what are you trying to tell me here, Lord? Like, what are you trying to have me create in this season? And then listen and then take action. That's so good.
That's so good. That's so good. I wanna hit on this, and Coach Don, I'd like you to speak to it too. So Lynn, hey Lynn, great to see you, sis. She said, "What if your fear is actually the fear of success?" When
Mm.
the first thing, and I appreciate that question, and I appreciate the authenticity of that, because here in this group, that's what we do. We show up and we have the courage to say what needs to be said so that we can receive what we need. So thank you, sis, for showing up authentically. So when I first started my business, I used to think like the fear of success, like why would somebody like have the fear of success? Like it just did not make sense to me. And what I realized though is as I started going along my journey, and I had to realize there's levels to that. And so for me, the fear of success, when I started to realize those levels to it, it was that the responsibility that came with with success, then that made it. It made me afraid to kind of step into it. And I was like feeling like I would have to handle everything on my own, and forgetting that, hey, this is not my business. I didn't, God gave me the vision for this. He has given me the gifts and the talents, which is my gifts is a divine enablement that's given directly from him. So within me, I have all the resources that I need. Within you, you have all the resources that you need to carry out the vision that God has given you. And so, I believe that when the fear of success shows up is when we feel like we are responsible for carrying out every part of that, and we're trying to do it on our own merit, and we're not literally standing in that partnership with Christ and coming to him for our daily bread to say, Lord, how do you want me to show up today? What do you want me to be doing? How do you want me to structure this business? And you're literally just taking the steps to show up and do it, and not trying to be perfect, because perfection is unattainable, but progressive action over time, it leads to excellence and mastery. And so a lot of times we're trying to be miles ahead of where we are, and then it creates that fear because you're like, I can't feel this gap. And truth be told, you can't fill that gap. You have to be where you are. And in our last purpose workshop, I talked about purpose is where you are. And so, you have to be where you are and honor where you are. I just was listening to a podcast. No, it was a Facebook Live today, and her with this another coach. Her name is Whitney Barbary. She puts out some really good content, and she was talking about the lady in the Bible where she was like, I have absolutely nothing, and she was like, I have nothing. Right when the prophet, she was talking to the prophet, and because the prophet had asked her, "What do you have?" and she said, "I have nothing. My husband has died. Like I have nothing." Right? And then so she looked around and she said, "But I do have this oil." And so she was like, "I have this oil on there." And so the prophet had told her to go and borrow some jars. Have your son go borrow some jars, whatever, and the Lord will fill these jars for you, right? And so sometimes we have to come to a place to where we are empty, and we are at a place where we're at a humility, and we're like, okay, I feel like I'm at my wit's end. Lord, show me where the oil is. Show me where the oil is in my business. Show me where the oil is right now in this season. Show me where the oil is. And then we have to be willing to show up with the actions that's necessary for us to move the needle in our business, right? And so, has she not been obedient to that, to go get those jars and allow the Lord to fill them up, then she would have been, she wouldn't have made it to the place that she needed to be. And so when I say this and tying it back to the fear of success, sis, what I'm saying is that, it's not about being perfect. It's about finding the purpose in where you are and using what you have and trusting God to multiply what you have according to his purpose and his plans. And you not trying to figure it out on your own, but you're literally coming to the source. And as you come to the source, you're going out and take the actions necessary to move the needle in your business how you need to. Coach Don, do you have anything that you want to add to that? You're on mute. Can't hear you.
I did mute because there was a lot of thunder going on over here. I love, Lynn, that you brought this question up because it's so true. There is a big fear of success for a lot of people, and they may not even realize it, right? But I think Coach LaDondra hit something really powerful on the head there, because it's like we feel like we have to do everything on our own and everything has to be done perfectly, right, the first time. And it just absolutely is not the case. That's what we were talking about, Coach LaDondra was talking about before, is, there are people that are going out disrupting the market. They're not getting it right the first time, and they're not going about it alone either. And that's the thing, is like when we step out into entrepreneurship, we think, okay, I've got to get it all done. I've got to get it all done right. I don't want to look foolish out in the marketplace. I'm all alone, right? And you're not all alone, because we as women operating Kingdom Enterprises, God is our CEO. He's the head of the company. He knows the direction. He knows like everything. It's up to us to be obedient and follow what he's calling us to do. And this is crazy, but did y'all know that in the Bible, fear not is written 365 times? That's one for each day of the year. That is crazy. Fear not, right? So it is his commandment for us to fear not. And Lynn also mentions in the comments about some self-sabotaging behaviors and, things that happen when that success starts to come, and then we self-sabotage, and that happens too. The big thing about that is, number one, acknowledging that. Like, okay, when I get a little bit, out there and stuff good starts to happen, then I retreat. I either get sick or I, get distracted or procrastinate and all that. Acknowledge that, and then put your system into place of those people that are surrounding you to help you keep moving forward. Because we have all had self-sabotaging moments at some point in our business, and surrounding yourself with those women, in our case, the women that can lift you up and encourage you and say, no, this is great. Like maybe just tweak this one thing and keep going. We got your back. We're here for you. That's what being inside the Woke Next Level program is all about, is us continuing to help each other. Like when those trials and tribulations come and we're afraid of the success, be like, no, you've got this and we've got you. Jesus had his disciples, they had each other. They did not walk alone. They did not walk alone. God was at the head. Then there was Jesus walking with his disciples. They were all coming together to spread their message and to encourage and lift each other up. And that's what we have to do here as well. And I don't know what else to say. The fear of success is so real. The fear of failure is real, but it's just walking in alignment with God's plan and purpose for you. He has not made us with a spirit of fear, and we have to keep taking those steps forward in obedience. And if you need help doing that, that's why you have to surround yourself with people who can encourage you and keep like dragging you along, if we have to drag you along to get you to the other side, because once you reach that other side, you're going to feel so much better. It's just like learning anything new. When you start learning something new, you're afraid, it's scary, it's awkward, I mean, just think about walking or riding a bike, it's awkward, but you get up and you do it again and again and again. And then pretty soon you're like, I got this, right? I'm riding, 60 miles or whatever on the bike, and it's easy. So it's just about taking that consistent action and letting people in to help you so that you don't get stuck.
Yeah, that's so good. I have something to say on that, but I have to acknowledge this from Nikki. Fear can be temporary. God's plan is permanent. Girl, you better speak. That is so true. So true. And so here's the deal. It doesn't mean that you can't have fear, because fear is just fear. We're human nature, right? Human nature is to feel fear, right? But it's what you allow fear to do that robs you of the opportunity to fully stand in your purpose and in your calling, right? And so, you know how you hear the saying, feel the fear and do it anyway. It's so true. There's so many times where I've showed up just shaking in my boots, literally shaking, but I did it. And, every time I just got a little bit stronger and a little bit stronger and a little. Y'all, if you go back and look at my past Facebook lives, they're terrible. And I'm okay with that. And I'm not taking them down, because it keeps me humble and remembering that if I can do that, I can do the next thing, I can do the next thing and the next thing. And so it's that imperfect action, like, I was mentioning earlier, taking that imperfect action. And I love that, you said, Coach Dawn, acknowledge what's happening, right? So if you do have those self-sabotage behaviors that's coming up, whatever you acknowledge, it loses its power and it loses its grip. You bring it out of the dark and into the light, and whatever comes to the light, that's, you're bringing it to the Lord, and darkness loses its grip over you, first and foremost. And it makes me think about the little shirts that I see, not today, Satan. So it's like you're acknowledging it, and you're like, you know what? I feel sick, but you know what? Not today, Satan. I'm not going to allow you to have authority over my life and over my vision and over the things that you have purpose for me to do. Not today, Satan. And what you said, something even more powerful, then you put some systems around you, which is some people, some accountability, some resources. Who's your top 3 people you're going to call when you feel yourself going into a place of self-sabotage? Do you have those? If you don't, go ahead and identify those, because it's going to be so important to pick up the phone and say, you know what? Today, girl, I'm not showing up, and be real about it. Because I actually showed up to my accountability group and I done told them what I'm not going to do, and they lovingly have brought me back to what we are going to do. And so I think that, this has been a really, really great conversation. We had a lot more to say, but I think that really we did hit on the things that we needed to hit on for today. I will say these, and, just kind of wrapping us up. When we're talking about how the fear of failure robs you of authentic growth, and then you stepping into that authentic growth. Number 1, remember you're a powerful creator. Number 2, I'm sorry. Whatever is happening for you, start to acknowledge it, and then allow it to lose its power. And like Coach Dawn said, surround yourself around a tribe of people who will call you higher. And if you need that as a resource, we have that in our Women Operating Kingdom Enterprises with Next Level program, and we'd be happy to have a conversation with you about that. And then trust your gut instinct, because your gut instinct is the Holy Spirit that's guiding you to the path that is right for you. You got to trust it. And as you're pioneering into that uncharted territory, because the things that you're being called to do, it probably is uncharted territory. You've been called to be unique. You've been called to affect change in a way that only you can do it. And so you're going to need the divine instruction and direction of the Holy Spirit to help you walk that thing out step by step. And I know y'all hear us talking about walking with the Lord all the time. You're going to always hear that from us, because you can't be effective until you're truly walking into a divine encounter with the Lord. You're having those consistent divine encounters with the Lord. I promise you, He will order your steps. He will direct your path. He will show you the strategy to show up and sell authentically where you don't feel salesy, how to market your business in a way where it pulls you up into a higher level. He will teach you what you don't know. He said, if you don't have if you need wisdom, just ask. And so many times we forget to ask for the thing that we need, and we come with a beggar's prayer, and we're like, please, 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 God, help me, please, please, please. And God said, daughter, ask for what you need. And so many times we haven't even got clear enough to ask what it is that we're needing in this time in the season, because we're on survival mode. And the survival mode in our mind is this got us like on run, 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 and we haven't stopped to pay attention. How do I need to slow this baby down? How do I need to get out of fear? What is causing me to be in a place of fear? What are those triggers? What am I being triggered by? Where am I where do I not feel enough at? Where do I not feel like I'm not showing up? What do I need to do, Lord? I promise you. I promise you. If I can't make any other promise for you, I promise you, He will show up for you and give you what you need. So, anyway, Coach Don, do you have any final words? I'll let you close this out.
All right. This has been a great, great topic because we are ready for fear to be done. Okay. Not today or tomorrow, Satan. We're done with that. Ladies, go forth, be the disruptor that you're called to be the change maker, be the rebel, be the risk taker, and know that we've got your back and God's got your back. Until next Thursday, bye.
Bye, ladies.